was Will from Yugen Bliss, The Road to Happiness. I felt it was time for me to express my thoughts and feelings of my recent passing of my biological father. It was kind of a mixed feeling, uh, emotions. Really, at this point, I've just accepted the fact that my healing, and it's okay to feel that way, because let me just say, my biological father wasn't my dad. Okay, my dad, I never had a dad. It wasn't until the last 5 years of my life he was in the picture, and it was because I felt a really strong need, and he did too, to be involved with his great grandchildren, Owen and Kennedy. So for the last 5 years, Owen and Kennedy had the opportunity to meet Papa Houghton from Vermont, which for me was very heartfelt in a lot of ways, because it kind of allowed me to feel that he was trying to be better than he was with us, and that he wanted to seek a relationship with my grandkids, which really, I had to embrace that. As painful as it really was for me, going through all my mixed emotions, it was a lot of things that I had to go through this experience. It wasn't easy for me. I got through it, and my dad just recently passed. It was on Father's Day weekend. How convenient that was, I don't know. But it happened that way. He died on a Friday, and Father's Day was on a Sunday. And this Father's Day was very, very different for me. Other than, like others in the past. And the difference between where I am and where my father was, it's kind of complicated, because I'm trying to do this live video, and my grandchildren are out here playing, so they're making a lot of noise, and I'm not going to apologize for that, because this was divine timing. This is why I was meant to do this. So anyway, guys, it was hard, but it wasn't hard. I didn't feel that emotional attachment to my father. I was abruptly and rudely taken from my family when I was 10 years old. I had 3 younger brothers. Okay, and we bounced around. We went to a really bad home. Oh, not we, I should say. It was my 3 brothers ended up in a home locally that was pretty bad. And my mom ended up into a mental institution due to my father. My father put her there. Okay, my father blue papered her. And if you guys don't understand what blue paper is, what that is in the state of Maine, if you feel that there's a person in your relationship or in your family that is a danger to themselves and others, you have the right to blue paper them, which I think is completely wrong. And my mom wasn't sick. My mom had a lot of problems because my father was never around. My dad used to run around on my mom with other women, and it was just a horrible experience, okay? And my mom loved this man with all her heart, and one thing with her, and he could move on with his life, whatever it may be. I don't know the truth, because I'm not my dad and what he was thinking. But I can say, from my perspective as a 10-year-old, going through this experience was very difficult for me, because I knew that I was an adult already at 10 years old. So I was making adult decisions for my brothers. I had no family function. I was doing what I thought was the best thing. And to be honestly, looking back at it now, it was because I was being divinely protected and guided at that time. I was being sent messages to do what I had to do to take care of my brothers and stuff. in the midst of my mom's having her mental breakdowns and her disabilities and my dad not being around. So it was very difficult for me to even experience what it was like or what it would be like to be a child. I never had those experiences. Right from the word go, I've always been a parent my whole entire life. I'm not joking. So my brothers ended up in the foster system. I went to an in-law, a family member, and I could have had the best life of my life. I know I could have. I would have been pampered. But I chose to go into the foster system with my brothers. I chose that. I had an alternative. And here this whole time, knowing that my dad gave up all parental rights to the state of Maine. That was heart-wrenching for me. It was hard for me to get that through my head at 10 years old. I didn't know how to understand that part. I was now a ward of the state, meaning that I didn't have no parents. I didn't have any decision-making from them. It was all from the state of Maine. So we didn't have any choices anymore by this point in my life. So my dad was out of the picture, and all I had was my three brothers and I. Not knowing where we were going. But I always prayed every day that I was going to be put in the perfect position, in the perfect spot. In December of 1988, okay, we're talking December, right before Christmas, like 2 weeks before Christmas, my brothers and I were attending a school, a grade school here locally in the area, Somerset County, in the foster system, but didn't know where we were going. And my music teacher was a foster parent, but she was getting ready to just let her license go, and she wasn't going to renew it. And her name was Mrs. Reisner. And I love this woman for a reason. I don't understand how I had a connection with this woman, but I was the one that always volunteered to bring her bags back to her car because she was a traveling music teacher within the districts. So every time we had music class, I always made the effort to go and help her with her bags and her things to bring them back to her car. So I kind of bonded with her, not knowing that she was a foster parent. So she ended up finding out through my fourth and that us four boys were being separated and we were going to be set in the foster system and not being together. Well, one thing led to another, and the next day, Miss Reisner took me aside when I went out and brought her bags and stuff to the car, and she asked me if I wouldn't mind staying with them. And I said, just me? She goes, no, all four of you. And I said, I would love that. And I broke down and I cried. Because my prayers were answered that day. Now looking back at all this and seeing the experiences for what they are now, your dreams and your desires will manifest if you believe in them and have faith that they were real and they will exist. So anyway, we ended up going and staying with his family. 2 music teachers. For 8 years of my life, that was my home. And the Reisners were my mom and dad. And I finally felt like my three brothers and I were finally safe and protected. It wasn't a perfect situation. It really wasn't perfect, but it was far greater and more experience that I ever could have been offered, if that makes any sense. So either way, My biological father was my father that brought me into this world, but he was never a father to me. He ended up adopting other people when he lived in Vermont, and he had other kids that he basically took their name. And that could have been heart-wrenching for me too, and it was hard for me to deal with that because he moved on and forgot about us four boys. But I still didn't let it get me down, you know what I mean? Because maybe he has the right. He has the right to make himself better. You know, and if that was the opportunity that he needed to make himself a better man, I was all supportive of that. And I accepted that. My brothers had a harder time with that. And then my dad ended up having another son, another boy, with this other family. And it was okay, fine and well, until I realized what he had named him. He named him exactly the same name as me. And at first I took it so personal. I was like, oh my God, he's completely forgotten me. He's replaced me with this other boy to make his life better. And it wasn't until I got older until I realized that maybe it was because he wanted to create a legacy for himself in a better way. And he had regrets on how he treated me. Neither way, it doesn't really matter because it was another thing that I had to overcome, this physical reality of emotions and feelings and attachments, and learning what love really is. And if you really take the essence and the idea of what love is, and it's to see it in everything and everyone. And even my biological father, I had to see that in him. That just me think that I should have taken it personal or intentional on that kind of a level. I wish I had learned that at a younger age because my life probably would have been a lot more successful, maybe. Or it could have gotten me away from the idea of alcohol and trying to search for love in all the wrong places, basically in a roundabout way. And I probably would have made different decisions in my life. But then as I got older, I knew I had to go through all that because of other lifetimes and other experiences to heal my DNA and my family tree and my will and my soul and all this stuff. As I was getting older, it started to make more sense to me, and it still doesn't quite make sense. But I had to understand, if I wanted to find what love was, I had to do it from the darkest part of me. I had to find love from the darkest part of myself for me to actually understand where it was in that level of where I want to be. So I had to go through so many dark nights and days of the soul of myself in the last 7 years of my life. Because I want to know. I want to know more along this spiritual journey that I'm going. And my dad had a big part of this, of his family healing and all that stuff. And I know this is really complicated. I know people keep going in and out and they don't want to make comments. They don't want to come in. But that's completely, totally up to you guys. Like it or not, this is my channel. And I have thoughts and feelings just like you do. We're all human beings in a human vessel with a spiritual soul. And I'm striving to find that more of it, more. I only get a little speck of that spiritual soul. I want to get more of that. So every day in my life, I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday. And sometimes you have to go into the dark side of yourself to get better. And that way, maybe someone can see you for who you really are. And not what someone else is making you up or manifesting you to be. trying to keep my life simple. And after the passing of my father, it's allowed me to reflect a lot more on my darker side. And all my feelings and my emotions that I can just release and let go of. I no longer need them. And there's no sense carrying them with us, because once we pass here, it stays here until that next time around. Just that next time around, just remember, it's going to come up again. It's going to arise. You're going to fall into that same spot, that same hole. Just remember that you can manifest a ladder to get out of it. You have that magic and that power to release yourself from others' grief and others' strive. They're striving to see and to keep you there. Release that. Release that to the higher source. Release that to God, if you believe in God. Because I've realized one thing: I have no control on the situations out here that may arise, that may not arise. But I do have control of my thought and the reason. And I do have control of the outcome. From my control of my mind and my decisions and my reactions to any situation. And I choose love. I truly do. And I've accepted that part of me. That it's always been there, it's always been instilled in me. And I'm not ashamed of that anymore. You know? I am a soft, loving white boy, I guess. I don't care what anybody calls me.
And I can't use it because it's broke.
Because it's not about what other people think. It's how I feel about myself. And how others are going to form their own decision about me. And that's fine. I had to live my whole life worrying about what other people thought of me because of where I came from. And for me not being able to accept that I had nothing to do with the decisions that my fathers made. And I had nothing to do with any decisions that anyone's made or feelings towards me. It was theirs. And I choose not to react in a negative manner towards anyone, even though sometimes they deserve it. You know, it's not my choice to judge you and your actions. You're going to be judged on your own, through your own experiences. Because I started to realize that my words are important, and they are special, and they are very powerful. And I want to use my words for the greater good, not for hatred and retaliation and resentment and jealousy. Those aren't good reasons to use my words. My words are so much more important being used in a positive and loving manner. You know? When I try to do that every day, you know, this summer has been a very struggling summer for me. I took on a very big challenge. I've got 2 grandchildren this summer, and, you know, it's puppet daycare. But I'm taking this challenge that's been offered in front of me and doing it with love. And this is the reason why I do what I do. Because if I ask Kenny who loves her the most, it's because she knows it's me. She knows it's me. And these are the only people that I have to These young souls right here are the only ones that I answer to. Just to let you know.
This is broke off. It broke.
Thank you everyone for being in here on this chat. Coming in and out. Maybe it's nothing that you want to say hello to or anything, but so would it be. But it would help my channel a little bit if I could get a few more likes. If you guys would please just hit the like button. You know, I'd like to grow too. But as I see everything out here, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and I understand that, and I respect that, and that's why I'm doing it in my own way. And one day I'll be successful here too. As most of you guys already are. But it's okay. I'm going to continue doing it the Yugen Bliss way. I'm going to keep sending love and light. Because I'm a lighthouse. Steady and strong. For the world to see my light shine bright. And I thank my father for that. Because if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be on this planet.
Now you are.
So thank you, Dad.
You are in the
And I
front
do
seat.
love you. And I don't hate you. For all the things that were painful and extremely hurtful. I don't hate you for that. I love you more than anything. Because I know when you left here this time, you left everything with you. You're of pure love now. And I know you love me. So thank you. And thank you everyone today for coming into my live chat today so I could express some of my feelings and emotions and thoughts towards my father passing away. Because I know this is not an easy subject, and a lot of men don't like to talk about it.
Forgot my fishing pole.
But the people in our lives do affect us, negative or positive, painfully or peacefully. And sometimes it's very important for a man to express their feelings towards people that are supposed to be their mentors in their lives. As I try to be with my grandchildren and my children and my family. I try to be the best mentor, the best husband, and the best man I can be every single day. And I may not come on here and I express this behind a camera to prove myself, because I don't feel that I have to come on this camera to prove myself to be a man. In my opinion, the way you judge a man is how he takes care of his own family. You want to judge a man, why don't you go and take a look where he lives, what he does, who he puts first, above all else. That's a real man. That's a man with real love, that loves himself with dignity and respect for everybody else. That's a real man. The real man's me.